My GF told me, I'm going with my ex on a mind clearance retreat. She thought she was finding herself, but while she went to clear her mind, I cleared out the apartment. Her reaction? Absolutely priceless. Hey Reddit, so my girlfriend told me she was going on a mind clearance retreat with her ex. I played it cool, told her it sounded great, and then made a decision that changed everything. Let's just say when she came back early, things didn't exactly go the way she expected. I, Tim, 29 male. Pretty squared away, decent career, decent apartment. Not bragging, but I've always had my act together compared to most of the people I know. My girlfriend, well, now ex, Celine, 27 female, she was the free spirit type. You know the kind. Obsessed with horoscopes, had a vision board, swore crystals cured headaches. Her idea of work was building her brand, which basically meant sitting cross-legged on the floor trying to figure out if her Instagram bio sounded deep enough. We'd been together for about 8 months. And honestly, it was convenient more than anything. Anyways, one night I was chilling on the couch, watching a show, when Selene came out of the bedroom, stood directly in front of the TV like she was about to announce a national emergency, and went, I need to tell you something important. Her tone was all serious. For a second, I thought maybe someone died. But nope. She takes this deep, dramatic breath and says, I'm going on a mind clearance retreat. I blinked at her. You're what now? It's a 2-week retreat. Meditation, journaling, chakra balancing, the works. It's all about clearing your mind and realigning your energy. Right, I said, deadpan. So basically summer camp for people who think essential oils cure cancer. Her eyes narrowed. You always make jokes when I'm being serious. This is important to me. Oh, I'm taking it very seriously, I said, nodding like I was agreeing with a therapist. So, who's running this retreat? Some dude in a tie-dye shirt selling crystals out of a minivan? She crossed her arms, glaring. You think you're funny. Anyway, I'm going with Dorian. Now let me explain Dorian. He's her ex from college. The guy she swore was just a friend now. The same guy who still likes her posts at 2 a.m. The same guy she once described as the only one who really understood her soul. Yeah, that Dorian. I raised an eyebrow. You're going to this mind wipe camp with your ex? Retreat, she corrected me. And he's not my ex. He's my friend. She said it like she was clarifying that water was wet. I leaned back on the couch. Right, your friend. The guy you used to sleep with. Totally the same thing. Her chin tilted up. Don't be close-minded. This isn't about him. It's about me. About my journey. Sure, I said. Because nothing says spiritual enlightenment like 2 exes booking a double yoga mat together. She rolled her eyes so hard I thought she'd sprain something. See, this is why I hesitated to tell you. I knew you'd be jealous. Jealous? No, I'm fascinated. Do you guys get a group discount on incense sticks or something? Her tone shifted fast, from defensive to smug. Actually, yes. It's cheaper if 2 people sign up together. I let out a laugh. So a couple's discount. Not a couple, she snapped. Then her voice softened into this holier-than-thou tone. Look, Dorian and I are on similar paths right now. We're both working on self-growth. That's it, she's a lost case. So I decided to play along. I gave her a small nod, kept my voice flat. Okay, sounds great. She took the bait, she smiled. Actually smiled. You know what? I knew you weren't close-minded. I knew you'd understand. This is why I love you. And then she kissed me on the forehead like I was some golden retriever who just learned a new trick. I sat there deadpan thinking, yeah, okay. If this is what love looks like, I need a refund. For the next few days, she wouldn't shut up about it. Celine kept saying things like, this retreat is going to unlock my true self. Meanwhile, she was out buying new yoga pants and a journal with the words, live, laugh, love yourself on the cover. Every time she mentioned Dorian, I made some little jab. Don't forget matching flower crowns for the photo shoot. Or maybe ask if they offer a loyalty card. Go to 9 retreats. The 10th one is free. She never caught on that I was just playing along, studying her reactions. She thought I was being supportive. I thought I was watching a comedy special unfold in my living room. By the end of the week, she had her bags packed, suitcase full of yoga mats, incense, and enough detox teas to poison a small village. She was glowing with excitement, talking about how 2 weeks of silence and meditation were going to change her life. And me? I just nodded, smiled, and thought, perfect. You go clear your mind, Celine. I'll clear out the apartment. That line was stuck in my head the entire ride to the airport. She was sitting in the passenger seat, flipping through her little notebook, the one she called her wellness journal. The cover had a pastel sunrise with the words, clarity is power slapped across it like it was ripped from Pinterest. She was glowing, going on about how the mind clearance retreat was going to change her life. I just kept my eyes on the road and threw out the occasional right or sounds deep like I was interested. Inside, I was counting down the minutes until she stepped out of the car. We pulled up to the drop-off curb and she turned to me, beaming. Don't miss me too much, okay? It's just 2 weeks. Wouldn't dream of it, I said, popping the trunk. She leaned over, gave me this quick kiss, and whispered, This is why I love you. You're not threatened by my growth. I forced a smile. Grow as much as you want. She didn't catch it. She hopped out with her suitcase, stuffed with yoga mats, incense, and detox teas, and headed toward the terminal. And who's waiting by the entrance? Dorian. Of course. He waved, she waved back. And then, because Celine couldn't help herself, she shouted across the lane, The others are flying later! I laughed out loud in the car. Yeah, sure. The imaginary retreat squad. As soon as she disappeared into the security line, I pulled out my phone and called the movers. I'd already lined up my exit plan days ago. Here's the thing. Celine was obsessed with having the lease in her name. When we first got the place, she insisted on it. Said it made her feel independent and empowered, even though I was the one covering most of the bills. I didn't argue. Fine. Her name on the lease. If that made her feel like a boss, cool. But here's what she didn't realize. Being on paper doesn't mean much when you're broke, unemployed, and about to walk back into an empty apartment. While she was packing crystals and leggings, I'd already signed a new lease across town. Deposit paid, keys in my pocket. It was like chess. She thought she was playing checkers with Dorian. Meanwhile, I was 10 moves ahead. The movers showed up right on time. 2 guys, both looked like they'd seen it all. So, what's going? One asked. That couch, my bed, TV, kitchen table, and the boxes in the closet, I said. Everything else stays. They took a look around at the apartment. Candles half burned, incense everywhere. Books about manifesting your destiny, stacked on the coffee table. One of them muttered, Man, you dodged a bullet, huh? I grinned. Biggest bullet of my life. We got to work. I was surgical about it. My stuff went neatly into boxes, labeled, taped up. Her things? I didn't throw, didn't trash. I stacked it all in the living room. The crystal collection she claimed hummed with energy. The cheap bracelet kits she called her business inventory. The journals filled with doodles of moons and stars. I even lined up her little jars of chakra balancing herbs on the shelf so she couldn't say I disrespected them. By the time the truck was loaded, the place looked like a museum of her delusion. Every item screamed Celine was here, but none of it was mine anymore. At my new apartment, I unloaded the essentials first. Bed, couch, TV, desk. No dream catchers hanging over my head. No incense smoke choking the air. No 6 a.m. alarms blaring affirmations. Just clean space. The water pressure in the shower felt like a trophy. That night, sitting on my new couch with takeout, I wrote the note I'd leave behind. I didn't want it long. Just short, sharp, and untwistable. Celine, went on my own mind clearance retreat. Turns out I discovered I deserve better. Your stuff is in the living room. The lease is still in your name like you always wanted. Talk to the landlord if you want to keep the place or move out. Utilities are still on, but not for long. Good luck with your chakras. Tim. I read it twice, smirked, and folded it up. Perfect. The next morning, I went back to the old apartment. Walked in, put the note dead center on the fridge. Right above her glitter pen business plan where she'd written lunar glow candles. Light for the soul and then nothing. That was the whole plan. One sentence and some doodles of crescent moons. I shook my head. This was what she thought was going to pay the rent? She couldn't even light a candle straight without burning the wick down crooked. I gave the apartment one last scan. My stuff? Gone. Her stuff? Untouched but organized. No excuses, no ammo to spin it against me. Then I locked up, slid the keys into the landlord's slot, and walked away. Back at my new place, I blocked her number. I didn't care about reading the speeches she'd for sure write about how real men support growth, or partnership is sacrifice. I was done. Stretching out on my new bed that night, I couldn't stop grinning. She went chasing clarity with her ex. I found mine with a moving truck and a clean apartment. 5 days later, Selene found something else. An empty apartment with a note taped to the fridge. I knew her trip would end early. Selene was the type who couldn't even sit through a 2-hour movie without checking her phone 3 times. 2 weeks of silence, meditation, and being around Dorian? No chance. Sure enough, my email lit up on a Wednesday afternoon. Subject line, "What the hell is this?" The message was basically screaming in all caps. She wrote, "I came back early because the retreat was awful and you're gone. This isn't funny anymore. Where are you?" I read it while eating leftover takeout and laughed. The retreat she swore would clear her mind didn't even last a week. Maybe her chakras ran out of battery. Then another email came in. The landlord says I have to sign a new lease if I want to stay. I can't afford this by myself. How could you abandon me like this? I leaned back, grinning. She was the one who demanded her name be on the lease. Independence, empowerment, remember? She treated it like a badge of honor. Now the badge had a bill attached. By Thursday morning, the emails had turned into full-blown essays. This is manipulation. You're trying to control me. Dorian says this is emotional abuse. Dorian giving relationship advice? That's like a guy on probation teaching a law class. I didn't bother replying. Blocking her number was the best decision I'd ever made. But I did reach out to Luke, my buddy who still lived in the old building. I wanted to know how the show was going. Luke didn't disappoint. He called me Thursday night, half laughing, half whispering like he was delivering gossip straight from the source. Bro, you missed a scene. She rolled up here last night with Dorian, dragging her suitcase. She was screaming on the phone with her mom, saying you stole the apartment. And get this, Dorian was outside on his phone too, arguing with someone named Destiny. Loud. Everyone in the hall heard it. I almost dropped my beer from laughing. Destiny? As in his actual girlfriend? Yep. Sounds like Destiny didn't know about this whole mind clearance trip. She found his Instagram with Celine in the background of sunset selfies. Man, that dude was catching heat in stereo. So the great spiritual duo lasted a grand total of 5 days before reality checked in. Celine bailed on the retreat. Dorian's relationship imploded, and I was at home enjoying decent water pressure. Beautiful. Friday morning, I got the dreaded call from Diane. Her mom. Against my better judgment, I picked up. How could you do this to my daughter? She snapped before I could even say hello. I smirked. Good morning to you too, Diane. She's homeless. Do you understand? She has nowhere to go. You abandoned her. She's not homeless, I said calmly. Her stuff's safe, the lease is in her name, and she's got 3 weeks to figure it out. That's more notice than most landlords give. You're being cruel because you're jealous of her connection with Dorian. I couldn't help but laugh. Jealous? Of a guy who's getting screamed at by his girlfriend named Destiny while moving crystals around in a suitcase? Yeah, Diane, I'm real threatened. There was silence for a second. Then she snapped, You're a pathetic little man. Okay, bye, Diane. I hung up before she could continue her TED talk on how I ruined her daughter's aura. But the best part came later that day. My phone buzzed with security alerts. Someone was trying to reset my Netflix password, then Spotify, then Hulu. Celine couldn't even focus on her journey of self-growth without trying to mooch off my accounts. I changed every password to some variation of Find Your Own Clarity. Not long after, I got a text from an unknown number. Celine wants to know why you're being so petty about the streaming services. She's having a panic attack. I replied once. Tell her meditation might help. Blocked the number. Saturday afternoon, Luke called again. Man, you need to hear this. She's been stomping around with Dorian all day. She told the landlord you tricked her into leaving the apartment. The guy looked like he was about to pass out from laughing. That was the thing with Celine. She thought everyone saw the world the way she did. Like if she yelled loud enough about being a victim, people would just hand her things out of pity. But landlords, judges, and utility companies don't run on moonlight energy. They run on signatures and cash. 2 things she didn't have. By Sunday, I'd stopped checking the email alerts. It was all the same. Paragraphs about betrayal, accusations of abuse, long-winded manifestos about female empowerment. The irony being she was living rent-free off me for 8 months while calling it empowerment. So I sat there, Sunday evening, TV on, feet up, thinking about how calm life felt without her. No chanting in the living room, no crystals charging in the microwave, no lectures about dream cheating. Just me, peace, and the sound of my neighbor's dog barking. That's when it hit me. Celine thought she was the enlightened one. But the truth was, I'd figured it out first. Clarity isn't something you find in a sweaty tent with your ex. It's knowing when to pack your stuff, write a note, and walk away. But Selena wasn't done. People like her never are. She couldn't accept the fact that someone like me, a guy who'd let her live off him for 8 months, just walked away without giving her a speech, an apology, or one more chance to drain me dry. I found out just how far she was willing to go the following Friday. I had just finished a solid workout at my gym. Deadlifts, pull-ups, the usual. Felt good, felt sharp. I tossed my bag over my shoulder and stepped outside, only to see Selene leaning against a car near the entrance. She wasn't dressed for the gym. No sneakers, no water bottle, not even a pass in her hand. She'd been waiting. Seriously? I muttered under my breath. The second she saw me, she straightened up. We need to talk. I kept walking toward my car. Pretty sure we already did. It was called the note on the fridge. She hurried after me. You can't just ignore me. Sure I can, I said, clicking my keys. She grabbed my arm. We were together for 3 years. I pulled my arm free. 8 months. Don't exaggerate your resume. Her face twisted. The emotional connection was 3 years. I raised my eyebrows. What does that even mean? You running a tab on feelings? She stomped her foot like a kid. Look, I get it. You're mad about Dorian, but nothing happened. We meditated, we journaled, we did yoga. Sounds like a romantic weekend for people who can't afford Netflix. Stop being sarcastic. This is serious. I need a place to live. Then get one. I can't afford anything. You know I'm between jobs. Between jobs. That was her favorite phrase. She'd been between jobs for 6 months, while she tinkered with candle wax and glitter glue, trying to call it a business. That's not my problem anymore, I said, opening my car door. That's when I heard a car pull up behind us. A beat-up Honda, loud muffler, crooked bumper. Of course. Dorian. He got out wearing a hemp necklace, hair in a man bun, trying to look hard. Yo, man, can we talk? He said, squaring his shoulders like we were about to box. Nope, I replied flatly, climbing halfway into my seat. He stepped closer. Look, bro, you're making this harder than it needs to be. Celine needs stability right now. I laughed. Then maybe you should provide it, bro. His jaw clenched. I'm trying. But you're acting threatened by our connection. Our connection? I echoed, smirking. You mean the 5-day camping trip that ended with you both bailing? That's not a connection. That's a long weekend. Celine gasped. Don't belittle it. I pointed at her. You're the one who couldn't even finish the retreat. You came crawling back before the incense burned out. Dorian's face went red. He took another step closer. You don't understand what we have. I leaned back against my car, arms crossed, calm as ever. Clearly neither do you, since you're not living together. That shut him up, for a second at least. Then Celine blurted out, he was going to let me move in. But Dorian didn't nod. His eyes darted to the ground. Wait, I said, raising an eyebrow. Is that what you told your mom? That Dorian was giving you a place? She stammered. Well, yes. And Dorian finally muttered, I'm, staying with a buddy right now. Destiny kicked me out. The silence that followed was golden. Celine's face went pale, like someone just yanked the rug out from under her story. She'd been parading around telling everyone she had Dorian's place lined up, when in reality, he was crashing on a couch because his real girlfriend caught him playing Guru in the woods. Quick pause, fellas. YouTube just dropped this new hype feature. If you're hooked on this story, smash that hype button. It tells YouTube this video deserves to blow up, and it keeps even crazier stories coming your way. Thanks so much for your support. All right, back to the drama. Wow, I said slowly. So your big plan was to leave me, go meditate with your ex, then move in with him. Except he doesn't even have his own place. Brilliant strategy. Celine snapped, Stop twisting everything. Not twisting, I said calmly. Just pointing out facts. Something you two clearly don't meditate on enough. Dorian shuffled awkwardly. Look, man, I'm just trying to de-escalate here. You're trying to de-escalate? I laughed. You literally showed up to back up your friend who ditched a lease she begged to have in her name, can't pay rent, and is now crying in a parking lot. You're not a mediator. You're a clown at her circus. His mouth opened, then shut. He didn't have a comeback. Celine's eyes glossed over, angry tears streaming. You're being cruel! I gave you everything! I tilted my head. Everything? You cooked twice, decorated with my money, and filled the fridge with kale I had to throw out. You call that everything? She stomped again. You're heartless. No, I said, stepping into my car. I'm free. I shut the door, started the engine, and pulled out, leaving them both standing in the lot. In my mirror, I saw Dorian trying to put an arm around her shoulder while she shoved him off. It was pathetic. Two people clinging to each other while both sinking. Driving back to my new apartment, I felt that calm satisfaction again. See, most guys in my situation would have lost it. Yelled, screamed, maybe thrown a punch. But I wasn't going to give Celine that satisfaction. Nothing gets under a delusional person's skin more than someone who just doesn't care anymore. She wanted a fight. I gave her silence. She wanted me to beg. I gave her a smirk. She wanted me to play the villain. I gave her indifference. That's power. That's clarity. And judging by the look on her face when Dorian admitted he didn't even have a place to live, I knew I'd already won. But Celine didn't believe in losing gracefully. She believed in doubling down. The following weekend, I was lounging on my new couch, coffee in hand, enjoying the silence, when my doorbell went off. Not just once, over and over like someone was testing the limits of the button. I checked the Ring camera and my jaw almost dropped. There they were. Celine, her mom Diane, her sister Courtney, Dorian, and her friend Piper, all standing in front of my building with a U-Haul truck behind them. I muttered, "Of course." The circus came to town. I hit the mic on the camera. "Can I help you?" Diane leaned into the camera like she was addressing Congress. "Yes. You can come down here and be a man. Take responsibility for the mess you've made." I sipped my coffee. "Already did. It's called moving out." Celine shouted from the back, "You can't just walk away like that." I chuckled. "Pretty sure I just did." Courtney stepped up next, arms crossed, face scrunched like she'd been practicing a scowl in the mirror. "You're destroying her life over your ego. She gave you everything, and you just discarded her." I raised an eyebrow at the camera. "Everything?" Funny, because my bank account says otherwise. I paid the bills, the rent, the groceries. All she gave me was smoke in the apartment and lectures about dream cheating. Celine's face turned red. "Don't bring that up." "Why not?" I asked. "You literally woke me up one night accusing me of flirting with someone in your dream. You think the landlord takes dream dollars for rent?" Courtney huffed. "You're heartless." "No," I said calmly. "I'm realistic. Try it sometime." That's when Piper decided to chime in. She was the type of person who always spoke like she was teaching a yoga class nobody signed up for. "Don't you think you're being a bit harsh?" she said in her slow, soft tone. "Like, energetically speaking, this whole situation is negative. If you just elevated your vibration..." I cut her off. "You know what else is negative? Going on a retreat with your ex and lying about it? But hey, maybe the crystals will pay the rent." Even Dorian shifted awkwardly at that one. Then, in a move straight out of a sitcom, Dorian tried my front door handle. He actually jiggled it like he thought I'd left it unlocked. The camera caught it all. "Dorian," I said sharply into the mic, "touch my door again, and I'll call the cops." He froze, hands up. "Hey, I was just trying to break in." "Great look, buddy." Celine started crying then, but not the sad, broken-hearted kind. It was the angry, snotty kind. She stomped her foot like she was 12. "I gave you everything. I decorated your apartment. I cooked for you. I made you a better person." I laughed out loud. "You decorated with my money, cooked twice in 8 months, and the only person you made better was your candle supplier. Newsflash. I was fine before you. I'm better without you." That shut them all up for a second. Finally, I leaned closer to the mic. "Here's the deal. You've got 3 weeks on that lease. Figure it out with the landlord. I don't care what you tell your mom, your sister, or your yoga club, but don't show up at my door again or I'll file for a restraining order. Everything's recorded, understand?" They didn't answer, just shuffled back toward the truck like kids who'd been caught sneaking candy. I finished my coffee in peace, but of course, Cellini wasn't done. That night, my email pinged again. New subject line, business proposal. I almost didn't open it, but curiosity won. And sure enough, it was comedy gold. She'd written it like a pitch deck. Lunar glow candles will revolutionize the wellness market. Each candle is infused with moonlight energy and handcrafted with intention. With your investment, I can focus fully on creation without the stress of housing. Investment amount, exactly 3 months of rent. The business plan attached was 2 pages. One was a stock photo of a candle. The other was a slogan in bubble letters, "Light for the soul." I actually laughed so hard I had to put my phone down. This was her master plan. Leave me for a retreat with her ex, get dumped by reality, then ask me for rent money disguised as seed funding for a candle scam. I forwarded it to Luke with the subject line, "You think Shark Tank would bite?" He replied in under a minute, "They'd bite her head off." By Sunday night, I realized something. Selene wasn't just entitled. She was delusional. She didn't just want me back. She wanted me to bankroll her fantasy. And she actually thought pitching it like a business proposal would make me bite. If anything, it just made me laugh harder. She thought I was cruel for walking away. But honestly, the cruelest thing would have been staying. Letting her drag me through another year of failed candle brands, chakra realignments, and dream-based arguments. Instead, I had clarity. My bills were paid, my apartment was quiet, and my only job was watching from a distance while Selene burned her bridges faster than she burned her soy wax. And she didn't disappoint. A few days later, my phone lit up with notifications from LinkedIn. Apparently, Selene had gone on a digital crusade. She messaged every single one of my professional contacts, boss, clients, even a college professor I hadn't spoken to in years. with the same pitch. Hi, I'm Celine, founder of Lunar Glow Candles. Despite my personal situation, I believe in keeping business separate from relationships. Would you like to invest in a female-led business bringing moonlight energy to the world? Yes, she actually wrote moonlight energy. My boss texted me. Is she okay? She just sent me a candle pitch deck. One of my clients emailed, your ex is very enthusiastic. Are you sure she's stable enough to run a business? Even my professor replied, is this performance art? I laughed so hard I nearly spilled coffee all over my laptop. But Celine wasn't done. By Tuesday, she launched a Kickstarter for Lunar Glow Candles. The campaign video was her standing in front of her vision board, holding a candle and whispering about revolutionizing inner light. She set the funding goal at $25,000. The pledge rewards? $50 for a candle, $200 for a personalized moon blessing. Backers after 48 hours, 3. Diane, Courtney, and Piper. Total raised, $90. Wednesday, Celine doubled down again with a GoFundMe. Title: Help a spiritual entrepreneur escape emotional abuse. The description read like a bad soap opera. She claimed I'd financially controlled her for years, sabotaged her candle business, and abandoned her during a mental health crisis. She conveniently left out that she hadn't worked in half a year, her business was pouring wax into thrift store jars, and the crisis was me moving out after she left with her ex. The goal was $30,000. The total donations after a week? $42. All from Diane. By Thursday, even Dorian was cracking. I got a voicemail from an unknown number, and when I played it back, it was him. Hey man. Look, real talk. Celine is kind of losing it. She's staying with Courtney, but it's not going well. She keeps saying you're conspiring against her, like hacking her chakras or something. I'm just trying to calm her down, but, maybe just throw her some cash so she stops making us all look bad. I played it twice laughing. Hacking her chakras? That was a new one. I didn't respond. Dorian could deal with the monster he decided to enable. Friday morning brought the next stunt. Celine filed a claim in small claims court. She represented herself, obviously. She showed up in front of the judge with a folder of evidence and demanded unpaid labor compensation. Her argument? She decorated my apartment and occasionally cooked, therefore she deserved financial restitution. The judge flipped through her papers, looked up, and said flatly, "Ma'am, that is not how this works. Case dismissed. 5 minutes. That's all it took." Celine stormed out of the courtroom with Piper filming her on an iPhone. She delivered a teary rant about systemic oppression of spiritual women and posted it on TikTok. It got 19 views, 14 of which were from Diane's burner accounts. But the grand finale came the following week. I got a call from my old landlord, Rick. "Hey," he sighed, "your ex-girlfriend is trying to squat in the old unit." "What?" I asked, holding back laughter. "She changed the locks, printed some fake lease off the internet, and told us she had tenant rights. The thing's obviously fake. She even spelled her own name wrong." I couldn't hold it in. "She spelled her own name wrong?" "Yeah, we're starting eviction proceedings, but this is a mess. I had one ace up my sleeve. Remember how I left the utilities running to be nice? The utilities were still in my name, so I just canceled service at my move-out date, and the landlord handled the rest. Simple as that. Within an hour, Rick called me back, chuckling this time. "Well, she doesn't have power or water now. Her sister just called us screaming about how cruel you are." I shrugged. Maybe candles can light the place up. That evening, Courtney called from a blocked number. "You need to turn the power back on right now," she shouted. "Who is this?" I asked. "You know who this is. Celine is in there with no electricity. She's trying to run her business." "Courtney," I said calmly. "She's squatting. That's not running a business. That's illegal." "You're such a monster," she screamed before hanging up. I went back to my dinner, unbothered. A couple of weeks later, the sheriff finally posted the writ on the door, and by the next Friday, they locked her out. Rick called me to confirm it was over. He told me, "She screamed something about mercury being in a microwave before the cops hauled her out. I think she meant retrograde." I laughed. Honestly, microwave sounds about right. Watching all of this unfold from my new apartment, I realized how lucky I was. Most guys get dragged through the mud in these situations, financially, emotionally, sometimes even legally. Me? I dodged every bullet by doing one thing, walking away before it could hit me. Celine wanted me stuck in her chaos forever. Instead, she ended up in courtrooms, squatting in apartments, begging strangers on the internet for money, while I was eating takeout in peace. That's what I call clarity. 2 weeks after the eviction, word spread about where Celine ended up. Luke texted me first. Saw her at a coffee shop. She's back living with her parents. Calling it a capitalist detox sabbatical. Of course she was. Only Selene could spin getting thrown out of an apartment into a political statement. Dorian resurfaced online around the same time. He slunk back to Destiny, and from the looks of their posts, they were miserable together. Passive-aggressive quotes, cryptic captions. He posted something about toxic energies opening his third eye, then deleted it after Selene commented, "Yes," beneath it. Guess his third eye couldn't handle the attention. Then came Diane's final act. My inbox pinged with an email titled, "You should be ashamed." She wrote, "My daughter is devastated. She was planning to propose to you on that retreat with Dorian. He was going to help her pick out rings. You threw away something beautiful because of your silly male pride." I read it twice. She was going to propose on a trip with her ex? With her ex helping her pick out rings? I actually laughed out loud. That was beyond delusional. It was comedy gold. I didn't reply. I just showed Heather, the girl I'd started seeing at my new apartment's resident event. She burst out laughing and said, "Imagine thinking that's romantic." That sealed it. Diane and Selene weren't even worth a second thought anymore. But life wasn't done serving me bonuses. Friday night, I ran into Dorian at a bar. He was tipsy, tried to bro-hug me. "Dude," he said, "I'm sorry about everything. Celine's actually insane. She tried to get me to invest in her candle thing, too. Said we could be conscious capital partners or some crap. I was like, girl, I deliver pizzas." I grinned. "So much for moonlight energy, huh?" He shook his head. "She even pitched me this idea about a poly mind clearance partnership. Wanted you in it, too." I was like, "Nah, man. I just wanted to eat edibles and look at trees." I laughed so hard people turned to look. "Good luck, Dorian. Sounds like you've got your hands full." We clinked glasses out of politeness. But that was it. No friendship revival. He'd done me a favor by being dumb enough to go along with Selene in the first place. Meanwhile, Selene tried a rebrand. Lunar glow candles disappeared from Instagram, replaced with celestial bath bombs. Same aesthetic. Moon doodles, pastel fonts. But now she claimed her bath bombs could cleanse toxic energy and restore your aura. The kicker? Piper accidentally exposed her in the comments. Someone asked if the products were FDA approved, and Piper blurted out that Selene was just rewrapping dollar store bath bombs. Post deleted within an hour, but screenshots floated around. Her follower count dropped from 200 to under 80 in a week. I looked back at all the red flags and laughed at myself for tolerating them as long as I did. She once tried to pay rent with a check from her future self. She swore her neighbor's cat was her grandmother reincarnated. She even tried to add herself as my domestic partner on my health insurance, saying spiritual partners should qualify. I'd ignored all of that because it was easier at the time. But the retreat with Dorian? That was the line. And walking away was the smartest move I'd ever made. Now, my life was simple. My bills were mine. My apartment was peaceful. And Heather, yeah, she was the complete opposite of Selene. Sharp, grounded, funny. When I told her about the whole saga, she cracked up and said, "Next time we take a trip, let's make sure no exes are invited." That was the difference. Selene thought she was finding herself through mind clearance. I found myself the second I shut the door on her drama. Clarity isn't something you buy at a retreat. It's knowing when someone's full of it, when a relationship is dragging you down, and when it's time to pack up your things, leave a note and never look back. Selene is still in her parents' house, posting about how she's resisting capitalism one bath bomb at a time. I'm here with peace, stability, and someone who actually makes sense. And if Selene ever wonders what happened, she can light one of her dollar store bath bombs and meditate on it.